Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we are going to completely rethink how we look at food. Seriously, if you have ever felt stuck in that endless, frustrating cycle of strict dieting and restriction, you are not alone. And honestly, it is not your fault. Today, we're stepping away from all those complicated rules we're so used to, and we're exploring a totally different paradigm. We'll be digging into some incredibly powerful, yet elegantly simple concepts from a text on living a good life. We're focusing specifically on mindful eating, the brilliant Japanese concept of hara hachibune, and the hunger scale. So get ready to totally shift your perspective.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a truly staggering number. $50 billion. That is the massive size of the weight loss and diet industry right now. It's huge. And this industry profits immensely by taking what basically boils down to simple math, energy in versus energy out, and complicating the heck out of it. They add endless rules, special products, and these rigid programs that really just leave us hungry and cranky. We're constantly sold the idea that we've got to buy the next big thing to manage our weight, which just totally distracts us from the internal signals our very own bodies are sending us every single day.
So before we even look at what to eat, we need to ask ourselves a much more important question. Are you eating because you are actually physically hungry, or are you eating because you're stressed? This right here is the pivot. We are shifting the focus entirely from the what of eating to the why, because often the biggest hurdle isn't the food itself, it's the underlying reason we're reaching for it in the first place. When we actually pause to ask this question, we start to uncover the real truth about our relationship with food. Section 1. The evolutionary trap, or why we really eat. Listen, if you've ever felt like your cravings for high-calorie foods are some sort of personal failure or a lack of willpower, I want you to let that go right now. Seriously, it's actually a deeply ingrained evolutionary feature. For millions of years, human evolution literally programmed us to seek out and crave sugar, salt, and fat. Back in ancient times, these were incredibly scarce, high-value nutrients. If our ancestors found them, they ate them immediately to store energy for survival, because they literally never knew when their next meal was coming. But today we have modern abundance. We have comfortable couches and pantries just totally packed with cookies. We are caught in this biological trap where our ancient survival instincts are constantly being triggered by a world of super easy, high-calorie access. Because of this modern setup, we constantly confuse two very different things: physical hunger and emotional hunger. Physical hunger is a genuine biological need for fuel. It builds up gradually, and it's satisfied the second your body gets the energy it needs. Emotional hunger, on the other hand, that comes on suddenly. It's this intense drive to eat just to soothe uncomfortable feelings, or, to distract ourselves. And recognizing this difference is absolutely crucial. It completely relieves the guilt around past diet failures, because it's not about lacking willpower at all. It's just about misinterpreting the signals.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide are the specific emotional triggers we deal with daily. We're talking sadness, guilt, boredom, frustration, loneliness, and anger. When we feel these things, so many of us immediately turn to food for comfort. We basically end up treating our stomachs like emotional sponges rather than the biological engines they actually are. We're trying to feed a feeling, not a physical deficit.
And there's this quote from the source material that just hits the nail absolutely on the head. Since food cannot satisfy your emotions, you eat without feeling full. It's a profound realization, really, because a cookie or an entire bag of chips cannot possibly fix a psychological issue like loneliness or frustration. The act of eating emotionally simply has no natural stopping point. The physical sensation of being full never actually addresses the emotional emptiness, and that's what leads straight into a cycle of continuous, mindless overeating. And honestly, here's where traditional dieting actually makes the whole situation worse. When we try to fix our eating habits with rigid diets, it almost always backfires. See, your body doesn't know you just want to look good for the summer, it thinks there's a literal famine. When you drastically cut calories, you're tricking your body into thinking there is a severe food shortage. So in response, it lowers your metabolic set point, meaning it slows down your metabolism to conserve energy and hold on to weight. So the very thing you're doing to try and lose weight is actually programming your body to hoard it.
Moving on to Section 2, the antidote. We've got two practical tools for mindfulness here.
So, if restrictive diets are just a biological trap, the real antidote lies in mindfulness. And the very first step is simply the power of the pause. Before you open that pantry door, before you even sit down to eat, just take a moment to stop. Breathe. It only takes a second to break that automatic, robotic habit of reaching for food. This structural slowing down creates the actual mental space you need to check in with yourself and ask why you are eating.
Once you pause, you use tool number 1, the subjective hunger scale.
This is such a brilliant way to take something completely vague, like how hungry you feel, and make it instantly concrete. On a scale of 1 to 10, a 1 means you are dizzy, weak, and absolutely starving. A 5 is neutral. You're comfortable, not hungry, but definitely not full. And a 10, that means you are overfull, totally lethargic, and physically uncomfortable. By mapping what you feel to this visual scale, you're forcing yourself to evaluate your actual physical state.
So the crucial point is how you apply this, and it's just 3 simple steps. 1. Pause before you eat. 2. Rate your physical hunger on that 1 to 10 scale. And 3. Stop when you are physically full. Using this scale helps you definitively separate a biological need for fuel from a psychological craving. I mean, if you rate yourself a 5 or a 6 but you are desperately craving a snack, you know for sure it's emotional, not physical.
Which brings us perfectly to our second tool. This is the ancient Japanese concept of harahachi bunmi. It translates to eating only until you are 80% full. This phrase holds some serious gravitas, guys. It is the ultimate, mindful antidote to our modern cycle of overeating. It teaches us that the goal of a meal is absolutely not to feel stuffed, but to feel satisfied and energized.
That 80% rule is a real game changer. We are so culturally conditioned to clear our plates or to keep eating until we feel literal physical pressure in our stomachs. But stopping at 80% ensures you leave the table feeling light. And the source points out something really fascinating here. An occasional slight hunger isn't a bad thing. Actually, keeping yourself slightly hungry instead of constantly full makes you feel way more alert, more aware of your body, and far more motivated. It's a complete mental shift from fearing hunger to actually viewing it as a natural, healthy state.
So, the ultimate takeaway from all of this? You've got to quit the diet habit. And most importantly, stop blaming yourself. Maintaining a healthy lifestyle is not about punishment. It's not about white-knuckling your way through complex dietary math or relying on some multi-billion-dollar industry. It's just about consistent, mindful choices. It is about self-awareness, having a little compassion for yourself, and actually listening to the brilliant biological machine that is your body. I want to leave you with just one thought to carry into the rest of your day. At your very next meal, when you sit down to eat, are you going to mindlessly eat until you hit 100%? Or will you pause, check that hunger scale, and choose to stop at 80? The choice is entirely up to you. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.